Hassler here. I'm going to do some of the notes for 5.1 on horizontal and vertical lines. So please follow along, and if you have questions, ask your teacher. The first one says draw a graph of a horizontal line and create a corresponding table. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a horizontal line, and it doesn't matter where the horizontal line is. It just says any horizontal line. And so I'm just going to draw a horizontal line right here in green. Stick some arrows on there, and it says create a corresponding table. So to create that corresponding table, I'm just going to put a couple of dots on this green horizontal line I got. So here's a dot, and here's a dot, and here's a dot. I'm just going to fill out what those ordered pairs are. So it looks like my first ordered pair is -4, 4. And the next ordered pair is 0, 4. And next I got 2, 4. And I notice that all of my y coordinates in this case are exactly the same. So it says, what is the x-intercept? Remember, the x-intercept is where you cross the x-axis. And in fact, this line never crosses the x-axis. The only time that this line would ever cross the x-axis is if the horizontal line was the x-axis, okay? But in this particular case, I do not have that happening, so I have no x-intercept. What is the y-intercept? Well, the y-intercept is right here, and that's at 0, 4. If you chose a different horizontal line, then yours would be 0, whatever your y-coordinate was. What's the slope of a horizontal line? Well, the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Remember, slope is change in y over change in x. And to go from one point to the next, I'm not changing in my y values. So 0 divided by my change in x would just be 0. And the equation for my line then would be y equals mx plus b. Well, m is 0, x plus 4. And 0 times x is just 0. So I really could just write y equals 4. Okay. And what I notice again is that all y values are the same. And so this equation is like saying, well, all my y values are 4. So I'm going to write the equation y equals 4. All right, so let's do another one. And this time we're going to do a vertical line. Draw a vertical line and then create a corresponding table. So I'll go over on this side here. Again, you can draw your vertical line wherever you want. It just means that your points are going to be a little different than mine. And so I'm going to pick a couple of points. We'll pick a point here, and we'll pick a point here, and how about down here? I'm going to write those ordered pairs. So it looks like I have -2, 3, and -2, 0, and -2, -4. Now, again, what I do notice is that all of my x values this time are exactly the same. So this is not a function, by the way. This is not a function. It fails that vertical line test. I have these repeating x values. I do have an x-intercept. My x-intercept is at -2, 0. And I do not have a y-intercept. Now, again, I would have a y-intercept if my vertical line was on the y-axis, but that's not the case here. It says, what is the slope of a vertical line? So if you recall, the slope of a vertical line is undefined. Again, change in y over change in x. Well, there is a change in my y, but there's no change in x. And so that would put 0 in the denominator, and I can't divide by 0. That means I can't write a y equals mx plus b. Okay, I don't have a y-intercept, so I cannot write, so no y equals mx plus b. My slope is undefined, so I can't write undefined in my equation. I don't have a y-intercept, so I can't write y equals undefined x plus none. That would be silly. But I like the idea of what I mentioned over in number 1. In number 1, I said all the y values are the same, so we wrote the equation y is 4. And in this case, all the x values are the same. And so in order to indicate that, I write the equation that all the x values are the same. They're all -2. So I just write x equals -2. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some practice of that. This is write the equation from the graph. And I noticed that This graph is a horizontal line. So you're going to see me labeling things just to kind of help. I have a horizontal line. All my y values are the same. All of these y values are -3, and so I can write the equation y equals -3. Has a slope of 0. This is a vertical line, and what I notice on this vertical line is that all the x values are the same. They're all 4. So I write the equation x equals 4. My slope is undefined. And so even though it doesn't ask for those things, I'm still going to just make note. My slope was 0 for the horizontal line, and my slope was, let's write UND for undefined in the vertical line. I like that information because the next few questions don't give me a graph, and I have to think about how the slope is connected to that ordered pair. So it says write an equation for each set of information. And I like that green I had earlier. So we'll go with it. M equals 0. So when I have M equals 0, that's related to a horizontal line. So I'm just going to make a little note to myself. A horizontal line, and a horizontal line means that all the y values are the same. And so if I'm going through the points -7, 9, and I draw a horizontal line, then actually all the points are going to have the same y value. So -7, 9 would be like a horizontal line up here. All the y values would be 9 since it's horizontal. So y equals 9. We'll do bright pink here. M is undefined. So if my slope is undefined, that means that I have a vertical line. And again, if I were to graph this through the point 12, 3, a vertical line, it's a terrible graph, through the point 12, 3, that means that all my x values are the same if I have a vertical line. And so all my x values would be 12. So I just like to make little notes to myself so that I know how I'm writing my equation. If it's a horizontal line, I've got y equals. If it's a vertical line, I have x equals, and then whatever that x or that y coordinate is. In 7, I have 2 points. So I'm not told what the slope is. Now I could calculate that slope. Or I can make a graph. So I'm going to make a graph. And I'm going to plot these points. I've got 6, -8, and I've got 6, -15. And I notice that when I graph those, they both have the same x coordinate. And so they're going to form a vertical line. I'm going to make a note. This is a vertical line. And since it's a vertical line, all the x values are the same. And I notice that with my ordered pairs, they do have the same x, and that's 6. Similarly here, I'm going to graph these 2 points. So let's see, -2, -5, and 10, -5. And so I notice that because they have the same y values, I end up with this horizontal line, which means it's y equals whatever that y value is. Look, they're the same. All the y values are the same. I would have a slope of 0, and so I have the equation y equals -5. So at this point, your job is going to be to work on problem number 9. Writing an equation for each of those lines and stating what the slope is. As we flip over on the back, again, you are given some direction. Either you're given the slope in a point, you're given the graph, you're given 2 points, and you're going to write the equation of those lines. You do not need to worry about doing 16 through 20. We're not ready for that. So your job would just be to finish through 15.